Well, this is really upsetting. I was excited because, as I previously reported to you, Kimmel is going back on the air tonight. That was the announcement. And then there are companies that are going, no, he's not. And so let me lay this out for you and give you some of this information. The good news is that ABC will be broadcasting Kimmel's show starting tonight. As of when I'm recording this, that's the plan. But as I explained to you before, you have that national broadcast. But the actual local affiliates, the ABC affiliates, the companies that own the local stations that actually carry that, can also choose to cut off the feed and do something else and not play his show. And so Sinclair, which is the right-wing company, and then Nexstar, which has a vested interest in pleasing Trump right now, are saying, we're still not broadcasting. We're still keeping him off the air. And that is a pretty notable portion of the ABC affiliates that carry the show. And so this will be taking out a large chunk of the audience, even if it still does get broadcasted to a lot of people. MAGA TV stations launched new boycott, the Daily Beast reports, of Jimmy Kimmel. A quarter of local ABC stations will not air Jimmy Kimmel's return to late night television on Tuesday after a second group of affiliates joined the boycott. Affiliate giant Nexstar said in a statement that they won't take it. And then you have the MAGA-friendly Sinclair broadcast group doing the same thing. So Sinclair, they went viral. Again, this is one of the companies that owns the local affiliate stations for these ominous synced scripts, because they have all these local stations under their umbrella that would read the same words.
Now we're actually seeing the promos, so I want to show you what they look like. This is a compilation courtesy of Deadspin that's gone viral this weekend. Just a little taste of what these promos look like.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media publish things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think.
Now, it's not some conspiracy. Obviously, if you own a bunch of local stations, you can, as the boss of the boss of the boss's boss, you can send down, I want everyone to read this. But there is something weird and dystopian about, from all these different places in the country, the anchors reading the exact same wording. Like, just throw that sucker into ChatGPT and say, reconfigure this wording a little bit. It is weird. And if I were MAGA, it would serve deep state conspiracies, but obviously it's operationally, it makes some sense, but it is a little ominous, and it shows you that the top of the top bosses have direct influence. And so when we learn of their MAGA bias, that is of concern in this time where media is under attack. And now we're seeing them abiding by still the FCC commissioner's threats. New York Times reporting on this. Local TV giants boycott Jimmy Kimmel's return to late night. Now, I mentioned Nexstar. They're trying to buy their competitor. And so just like the Paramount merger, they know the FCC has to approve that and raise the monopoly prevention bar of what percentage Nexstar can own of the market. And Brendan Carr, the FCC commissioner, said, yeah, I'm open to doing that. And then a little while later said, oh, but God, this Kimmel thing's just really, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, but something needs to be done, and these local affiliates could do something. So now Nexstar has a very specific financial motive to please the Trump administration by censoring Kimmel.
But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore. until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocation from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion. So
it's just, he said it so explicitly, they need to preempt this broadcast. And then Nexstar said a statement that it will instead continue to preempt the Jimmy Kimmel Live. And he cited specifically what the damage would be done to the local broadcasters or to the licensed broadcasters. If they fines, you could have your license revoked if they don't abide by it. And so he will still be, according to the at least a quarter of the local ABC stations not showing up. Maybe that's going to be where you're used to watching it. And it's all because of fear from the government. That's what this is. And even Joe Rogan is not comfortable with this.
This whole Jimmy Kimmel situation that is happening right now.
Yeah, wild.
Very wild. Okay, first of all, the FCC is, you have to have a license to broadcast, which is kind of crazy when you think about what that means now. Because, like, what does it mean? It used to mean that you used to have a license to broadcast because you were going to influence so many people. They had to make sure that you were on the up and up, right? So they had to make sure that you didn't swear. So if you had a license and you were on CBS or NBC or ABC, you could not swear, right? That was the rule. And then on came cable. And somehow or another, cable
Change the
is a
game.
different thing, right? Because cable, you just, you have to pay for it, I guess, so it's different. And so then some of the channels, you don't have to pay for. It used to be the only ones that swore were like HBO, where you had to pay for. And then all of a sudden it became kind of any of them, because they realized, like, hey, we don't, like FX, we can swear, guys. Like, we only don't swear because we want to think of ourselves as TV.
Right.
But HBO was like, you know, with The Sopranos, with HBO comedy specials, in the beginning, that was a big one. You could just swear. Movies, you didn't have to bleep anything out. Just wild. And so these, what you're dealing with even, like, first of all, I definitely don't think that the government should be involved ever in dictating what a comedian can or cannot say in a monologue. That's fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
Now, if the problem is the companies, if they're being pressured by the government, so if that's real, and if people on the right are like, yeah, go get them, oh my God, you're crazy. You're crazy for supporting this, because this will be used on you. You don't think that the fucking globalist lizard people who run the world are sitting here going, great, what do we got, 3 years? We'll wait this out. Wait this out. Yeah. Let them say the government should be involved in censoring people's speech. Yeah. Let them support that. Let these fucking dumbasses, because Jimmy Kimmel's a leftist, let these dumbasses think it's a good idea.
So, hey, sort of. I love that. It's like he's making the argument-ish that I'm wanting him to articulate. So, right on. Lizard people, for sure. But kind of like, I know he's saying that a little bit as a joke, but why won't you ever acknowledge, what if Trump is the epitome of that? It's always, well, it would be bad if we let Trump censor people he doesn't like, because then the globalist lizard people will do it to everyone else. And I get that he's putting it from a right-wing perspective, saying, right-wingers, you should care about this. But maybe the biggest threat to free speech is the orange lizard man. Maybe, like, he is the one willing to use it worse than any of your left-wing theories. It's not that there haven't been left-wingers who have done that. Of course, there have. But not to the extent we're seeing Trump doing it right now. And the brazenness, this is my other point. Can you even kind of try a little bit to pretend like you're not attacking the First Amendment out in the open? It's really, we're in this weird time where we're so echo chambered and tribalized that the MAGA leaders understand they don't even have to hide it. When he goes, easy way or hard way, take him off the air. Knowing that a lot of their supporters, most of them, will just, as long as someone on the left suffering because of it, I'm cool. And my hope is people like Rogan and others going, whoa, if they have to put it in terms of the liberal, homo lizards are going to do this to you. They're going to make you worship on the altar of sodomy, as Tucker Carlson said. If you allow Trump to do this, okay, then put it in those terms if you put in those terms. But hopefully not just liberals will see the threat posed here. But I think what's so disorienting to me is not that they're trying to do it. I predicted and I told you that they were going to do these different censoring efforts, but to see just absolutely no guilt, no attempt at lying about what they're doing, and just having it all happen out in the open adds a particularly sinister element to this.